Welcome back. Now for what's trending in true crime. The husband of convicted child abuser Ruby Franke is going after her co-defendant. Kevin Franke is suing Jody Hildebrandt, who was also convicted of abusing two of the couple's 4 children. He's accusing Jody Hildebrandt of emotional distress and negligence towards him and to his children. You'll recall that Franke's son escaped Hildebrandt's house and went to a neighbor for help. At the time, Kevin Franke says he didn't know what was happening with his children.
They're not at your home in Springville. And I'm not trying to trip you up. I can see you're hesitant to talk to me. I understand that.
Well, where I live, no, I haven't seen them for over a year. Like I said, I know nothing is going on in their lives or anything going on. We've communicated maybe 4 times in 2023 since January.
So are you aware of how she disciplines the kids or how she handles the kids with behavioral issues or anything like that?
No.
Now, you'll recall Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt, they were both sentenced. They are serving 4 consecutive sentences of 15 years in prison because they pleaded guilty to felony child abuse. But between these 2 women was the non-mother, Jody Hildebrandt, the mastermind behind everything. We have a rock star panel to break all this down today. Our guest, criminal defense attorney and Professor Don Larsick, is still with us. And joining us now, law enforcement and litigation expert Sonny Slaughter. Also, retired criminal defense attorney Kirk Nurmi is with us. Thank you all for being on this Monday morning. Our question today for this topic that's trending in true crime is, was Jody the mastermind behind everything? Sonny, let me start with you.
I think she was the mastermind, but I also think the mother has a lot of culpability. You know, she created this ruse. She kept the children away from the father, but Jody clearly had some type of influence over her to make her harm her own children. I mean, it's just unconscionable what happened to these children. And I'm not sure where the father was throughout this. He said he didn't see the kids for an entire year, but what efforts did he make to actually see them in person?
He says that Jody Hildebrandt came in and manipulated his wife into leaving them, divorcing him, and taking the kids and not telling him where the kids were. Kirk Nurmi, is she the mastermind? Does he have a stance in civil court to get money damages from Jody Hildebrandt?
I think he has a shot. I mean, he obviously can't sue his wife. It's not going to be a financial benefit to him to do that. So he's going to focus on Jody. One of the things that's interesting about this case, I think, is that we're going to see behind the scenes, like there's a lot of speculation that maybe Kevin knew what was going on, but so she will be able to attack him, say he's partially liable as well. But what's really going to be fascinating about this case is I think we're going to get a chance to see, if it goes to trial, how these women both, and I don't know that anyone in particular was riding the bus, but I think they got intoxicated by this fortune and fame they were getting off YouTube, and probably reinforced to some degree. The more subscribers they had, the more justified they felt like how they were treating their children behind the scenes, because obviously people were responding to it. So I think this lawsuit is going to be really give us a behind the scenes look of what was going on. How involved was Kevin, and what were these women really up to? Were they really intoxicated by this fame and fortune?
You make a good point, Kirk, that it could be that the defense can argue it's not Jody herself who was able to lure away or cause all of these problems in this marriage, but could it just be fame and fortune? Would you be able to go after, let's say, Don, a homewrecker for breaking up your family? He's making the argument of intentional infliction of emotional distress and negligent infliction of emotional distress. Your thoughts on whether Jody was the mastermind?
You know, it sure feels like that. And whether she was the mastermind and she was 90% responsible, or just a willing participant and 55% responsible, she's the one with the deep pockets. And the behavior here is so outrageous. Even if she's found to be, 50 or 60% responsible, I think the verdict could potentially be huge because of what these kids went through, what she did, her deliberateness. She's pled guilty, so there's no real issue about her culpability and her fault. So I think, going after her makes sense. It's smart. And you don't necessarily have to prove she's the mastermind. You just have to prove how reprehensible her behavior was. And she's responsible for these kids' abuse.
Great point that the criminal case has been completed before the civil. We see different timing sometimes, but with that culpability already in place, it's a lot easier because the burden is a lot easier in a civil case. Thank you all for your comments. We are going to move to the other true crime case that we are following, trending in true crime. Police have made an arrest in the murder of 19-year-old Sade Robinson. This man is their suspect, Maxwell Anderson. He's been charged with killing and dismembering Robinson. The police are still searching for all of her remains. They say that a human leg was discovered in Milwaukee Park on April 2nd, the same day that she was reported missing. And the criminal complaint says that the pair went on a date and ended up at Anderson's home. Sade's mother spoke out about the arrest.
Sick son of a is gonna pay. This is justice for Sade. Who the would do something like this to my beautiful baby? She hurt nobody.
Unbelievable. Actually, let me read about the latest that's coming for Anderson's case. He's being held on a $5 million bail, and we're wondering what could have motivated that killing. Our panel is still with us. Kirk Nurmi, your thoughts on this case? I mean, the details of the killing, but not only that, the dismembering of Sade Robinson. Police saying her body parts are being found all over Milwaukee County as they are discovering more and more.
Yeah, it's as disturbing. It is heartbreaking, right? And we don't know a lot about this case at this point in time, but there's some indication that they had some sort of relationship. So when we talk about what motivated this killing, we have to look at his history. Was there predatory behavior involved? This isn't the kind of thing that really comes out of nowhere. What is his background? What would a psychologist say about him? Again, there's a real chance that this is simply predatory behavior, and the question is, did he do this before?
Don Milarczyk, what do you think may have motivated this killing, and what is the process on a psych evaluation on a suspect behind bars?
Sure. This is a really, really horrific offense. And one of the things I would be concerned about if I'm a defense attorney representing him is, are there other victims? I mean, this is the kind of behavior that is so outrageous that you have to concern yourself and try to find out, is this the only victim? So what you have to do is order a psychological evaluation. You ask the court to have either a competency or a sanity evaluation. I don't think I would do that now initially, because you don't know about the facts. And a sanity evaluation is, yes, I did it, but I was insane. And it's way, way too early to be making that type of a claim. If it's a retained case, you hire your own expert. You have them go in and talk to your client at the jail, and you try to get a baseline. Are there any serious mental health issues here that we can diagnose? Can we get him some treatment? Can we get him some medication? And can we hopefully stabilize him to help deal with these very, very serious charges? But it's a really troubling case, and I'd really want to know, if I was a defense attorney, are there any other bodies?
So troubling of a case. Sonny Slaughter, I've been seeing you nodding, wanting to respond to this one. This beautiful young woman who was on a first date with a guy that it seems like she had just met or met somewhere where he worked, is what police, that's as far as they would go in terms of saying how she met him. But this is any woman on the dating scene's biggest fear.
I agree with both of my co-guests. This is horrific, outrageous. The details, just as we know them, are so inflaming. However, from a law enforcement standpoint, one of the things that I would want to be doing first is going through all of his social media, seeing what other dating sites that he's been on, seeing his habits at work, where he's worked at, talk to individuals at work. I want to do a complete scrub of all of his history in technology and things at his home. I want to make sure, as they stated earlier, that there are no other victims. Was this a targeted victim? And if so, was he targeting young women online through the dating sites to get in touch with them, and who didn't have other family members who may have been paying attention like Sade's family was? If there are other victims out there, they need to find out what he's been doing all of this time. This is horrific, and I think the details are only going to get worse as we go along in this case.
Hard to think about, but so true. Thank you for all of that, especially from the law enforcement perspective and what they are likely doing behind the scenes there in Milwaukee. Thank you all for being on. Kirk, I know we have to say goodbye to you, but don't go anywhere. Coming up, the brother of Rachel Morin is going to join us live to talk about the search for her killer, and still to come, the